We'll call to order.
6,000 paperwork.
We're gonna call order, on the Public Works Committee, June 3rd, 2025 at 9 AM. Roll call, please.
Chair Childress,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zay,
Here.
Member Desart,
Here.
Member Galassi.
Here.
Member Garcia.
Here.
Member Ozog.
Is that it? Thank you. I have no chair remarks at this time, and I'm told we have no public comments. So we'll get right into the approval of minutes. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes for May 2025.
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move right into consider items. 25-1393, Public Works, Sheffield Safety Loss Control. This contract is extending to June 24, 2025 to maintain a safety program manager in the instance of a situation occurs
So
with
moved.
no charge in total contract.
Second.
We're properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll go right into claims reports. Chair will entertain a motion to accept 25-1394 payment of claims, Public Works and Facilities Management.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll go right into bid awards next up. PWP 1425 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Nationwide All LLC for one stainless steel tank trailer for Public Works for a period of June 10, 2025 to November 30, 2025 for a total contract amount not to exceed $93,143. Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item up is bid renewals. Chair will entertain a motion to move on FMP 2725. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Ashland Door Solutions LLC to provide door maintenance, door sales, and installation as needed for the county
So
facility
moved.
for the facilities management for a period
Second.
of July 19, 2025 through July 18, 26 for a total contract amount not to exceed $45,000. Been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to move on 25, that is 25-1396 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Ashland Door Lock and Security Solutions to provide locksmith services, maintenance and installation as needed for county facility for facilities management for a period of July 19, 2025 through July 18, 2026 for a contract total amount not to exceed $25,000. Been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move into public utilities. I'd like to move on 25-1397 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to the city of Wheaton to provide fire alarm monitoring services for the county campus for facilities management for a
Second.
period of July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026 for a contract total amount not to exceed $21,420. Been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll move into other professional services. I'd like to move on FMP 2825 on the recommendation to award a contract to Carbon Solutions Group SREC for participation in the Illinois Shines Adjustment Block Grant, which provides payment in exchange for renewable energy
So moved. Second.
credits for approximately $177,494.56 for a period of June 10, 2025 to November 30, 2041, selected through other professional services under the bid award. Been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item up is sole source. I'd like to move on, TEP 825, on the recommendation for the approval of contract to Accelera for annual subscription services for Accelera, for loadsome, okay, I'll butcher that up, Connect, Enterprise for Blue Beam and Citizens Access and Civic Platforms for Building and Zoning, Public Works, Stormwater, Transportation, or
So moved.
for a period of June 23rd, 2025 through June 22nd, 2029, for a contract total not to exceed $1,144,575, not suitable for competitive bids.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have presentations, and I'm going to turn over the audit to Nick.
Thank you. So as required by statute, last Thursday, I sent the committee members our 2024 audit prepared by an outside accounting firm, Baker Tilly. And we do have Joe Lightcap on the call to answer questions then, but I'll give you a couple of highlights. First of all, I'd like to, once again, Stan Spear and his team have done a tremendous job with the finances for the department. I'll kind of cut to the end first and go, I mean, we are in great shape. All the debt service coverage ratios, we exceed all the requirements. So we are financially very sound. Couple highlights of it. Total 2024 revenue, 38.8 million, 24 expenses, 27.8 million. The big difference in there is pass through that we give to Darien, and we did receive some substantial grants from DECIO from the state of Illinois. So that's the big difference there for construction. Our user fees were up for 2024, slightly up by about $500,000. Operating expenses, which I'm very proud of, down by 3% from 23 to 24. And the main reason for that is a lot of the projects we've been constructing, they have energy components. Sean and his team have figured out how to do things, more efficiently and continue to do that. So we are down when most other organizations are up. Our expenses are actually down year over year. Total net position, which is that's an important one. Total net positions for the department increased from 116 million to 127 million from 23 to 24. Very good number. That means basically our value as a department increased, which is good. Total liabilities, and that our total liabilities also increased from 34.7 million to 39.6. Normally you don't want to see that, but if we have a very aggressive construction schedule right now, and we took out some IEPA low interest loans at, I think, Stan, 1.1 and 1.8%, if I remember correctly. So you will see the liabilities. That was in our long-term 10-year capital plan. That was included. We got better rates than even we thought originally. So that will continue to go up for a couple of years. Unrestricted cash reserves for the department increased from 23 million in 2023 to 27.7 million. And that goes along with our plan originally that we were doing a combination of pay-as-you-go and cash on hand, reserves, and IEPA loans. So that's kind of going exactly what we're doing. All of our projects, which you're going to see in a second here, are going very, very well. So as I said, as I started off the presentation, all of our debt service coverage ratios, which is the number one thing that we look at, that alerts us to, hey, are our rates getting too low? Do we need to think about rate increases? Are we meeting the bond covenants? All of them, we've exceeded the requirements. So that being said, I've got Joe Lightcap from Baker Tilly. If you have any questions, Joe, I don't know if you can put him on real quick. Joe, did you have anything you wanted to add? Is there anything I'm missing? Any concerns on your part as our auditor?
No, good morning, everyone. I think from the financial highlights, you hit everything appropriately. It was a good recap. I do also want to thank Stan, Chris, and team for their readiness and responsiveness during the audit. As usual, the finance department was very well prepared for our arrival. The records are in great shape as always. For the financial statements, we did issue once again a clean or unmodified opinion on the financial statements, which is the highest level of assurance you can get from your outside auditors. It states the information within is reasonably stated in all material respects and can be reasonably relied upon by an outside user of the financial statements. This year, there were no new audit or accounting pronouncements adopted during the year, so the form of the financial statements are very consistent with the prior year. We also performed an audit of the system's federal spending. As Nick mentioned, there's IEPA loans, and a portion of that is federal funding. So we do audit the compliance, the controls and compliance around that spending. There were no issues noted in that audit as well. So great to see from all points. We also issue a reporting and insights letter. So a letter that satisfies a few different auditing standards, which for the system is very much a boilerplate letter, which again is great to see. The letter does address our responsibilities, management's responsibilities for the audit. If there were any significant changes to the audit plan, discusses our areas of focus, our thoughts on significant risks of material misstatement, which there are a couple there noted, but those are standard areas that we're required to look at in every audit, so nothing of concern. And then also on page 2, I also always like to point out my contact information. Obviously, we work for the committee and the board. Should you have any questions throughout the year, not just when we're out during the audit or this presentation, or when we contact the board at the beginning of the year, I always like to mention to feel free to point out my contact information and really reach out to me at any point during the year should you have any questions. And finally, we do look at internal controls of the system to plan the nature, timing, and extent of our audit procedures. We do not issue an opinion on internal controls, but should we find anything that we felt the system should be aware of, the committee or the board should be aware of, we do present that in the letter. For a few years now, we have not had any comments in the system's internal controls. So again, great to see, and another reason why it's very much a boilerplate letter for the system. So the audit goes smoothly. We get all the answers that we ask for, all the help that we need before the audit, and it is a great experience and a great relationship we do have with the system. I guess with that, I would see if there are any questions related to the audit of the fiscal year 24 financial statements.
I just have one, Joe. As you look at our county and our organization, how do we stack up against others that you?
I'm sorry, it broke up a little bit. I didn't hear the question.
How do we stack up against other organizations that you audit?
Sorry, I think I froze a little bit.
So Joe, I don't know if you can hear the question that the chair had was our public works system is sewer and water. You audit other sewer and water systems across the country. The chair was wondering how we stack up, how we compare to those other ones that you are familiar with.
Yep. Yeah, I would say quite favorably. The systems look at, long-term planning for capital projects and the system at which you get the independent rate study to plan for the rates and look for outside funding to help with those construction projects. I think it's on par with the best of the systems that we see. So I think that you should be commended for your outlook and your approach towards that. And then the internal controls that help the system run on a day-to-day basis are also very well implemented every year.
All right. Member Garcia?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, not necessarily a question for Joe, but the 3% savings due to energy components, I think that's fantastic. I think that's something that we should all be really proud of, and I'm really grateful. I think we're showing leadership as a county here in terms of how we're changing things and showing that we can save money by even being energy, more energy.
Well, I mean, the impressive thing from operations, and that's led by Sean and his team over there. If you think about it, everything else in our department has gone up. All of our chemicals, commodities, personnel has gone up with the increases, and yet we're still 3% down.
Right.
And so that, I mean, it is impressive that we're able to do that in that kind of environment.
Yeah. So congratulations to everybody on that. So.
In the email, there were copies of the audit in the email. If anybody here would like hard copies, we do have several copies of that. If you would like something to prop up your table or something, we have those. Otherwise, the
I think they
committee,
just said he wants a light.
No, I printed it. I ran out of toner. but
the committee
I believe
needs
it's after
to
page 2.
make a motion to receive and place on file. That, and then this will be incorporated into the overall county 2024 audit.
So moved. Is
that
that
good?
The second,
Second.
probably moving second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item up is the Public Works, presentation.
All right, if you want to pull that up real quick. So what we wanted, this is kind of a start of the, of our budgeting process. You're gonna have several presentations over the next couple of weeks, or next couple of meetings. This is more of a capital project update for both departments right now. So all the projects that you have voted on, you have approved to move forward on, this is an update. I would urge, and staff is gonna drive this one, but I would urge staff to keep your eye on the clock. We'd be done in about 13 minutes. So Sean, if you want to start.
Right there, across from Jim, give me the eye.
Yeah.
Want to start my one?
I still have questions for old business.
We can jump into the first slide. Next one. So this portion of it is just an update on a few of the projects that we have going in Public Works. First one is, as Nick mentioned, these first few projects were all part of our master plan back probably about 6-7 years ago. Pretty big projects for us here at Woodridge. It involves grit removal and our headworks, so screening. This is a picture of where the grit removal is going to go. That's the existing foundation. Kind of building it within the existing foundation. That's what's called a head cell. So very energy efficient technology. You go from removing about 20-30% of the grit that we receive to almost 90-95%. So it just helps everything down the process in the plant. This total project cost, we just started this in 2025. We think this will be online by the end of 26. Total project cost about 21 million for this one. Next slide. This kind of a neat picture. So this is our main interceptor line coming into the plant. That's a 66-inch line. It's live 24/7, so we can't isolate that line. We're literally building the new building around that. And kind of on the bottom of it, you see we had to excavate about 4 feet of rock to set the level for the foundation for the existing building. So plan is we're up out of the ground now, kind of nice to be out of the ground. We'll keep that online. We're working on a bypass pumping plan for the system when we get that up and running. Started that at the same time as the head cell in 2025. Should have it up and running by 2026. That's part of the $21 million project, all funded by EPA loan, 1.8% interest on that one. Next slide. This was an electrical project at Woodridge and Knollwood. So this was all the main electrical infrastructure, backup generators, new switch gears. The picture on the left is all the conduits coming up to one of the substations. Picture on the right is a picture of the new switch gear. And on the right is one of 4 backup generators for Woodridge. So very redundant power at the plant. This will really set us up really nice moving forward. This was about a $22 million project, partially funded by the deck yield grant that Nick mentioned. Really helped with our rates. We got very lucky on funding on this project, 1.1% for the remaining balance on the project.
I'll tell you this electrical project, I mean, we're replacing every single electrical line at the plant. We're 40+ years old. It's the backbone of the plant and keeping it running the entire time. So this is an impressive project.
So the next slide. This is just kind of a recap of some of the projects that we started in 2025. You'll see a few of these in our budget presentation in a few weeks. Where a lot of these projects have an energy component to it for us. We're starting to see natural gas, electricity rise. Most of these are much more energy efficient technologies. So, the boiler project, for instance, we have original equipment from the early eighties at both Woodridge and Oldwood. We're looking at replacing those boilers so we can reuse our biogas that we generate at the plant. Sanitary collection system is just something that we're shifting gears away from the plant, so we're gonna start rehabilitation in our collection system. A lot of that we do with in-house forces, the televising, the lining of the service lines we do with in-house forces. The Woodridge Green Valley digester rebuild, just more equipment upgrades, lift stations, that's a picture of the lift stations on the right, before and after, so you completely rehabilitate those lift stations, and they last for another 30, 40 years. Nantucket Interceptor line, we have capacity issues within our collection system that we've identified, and we're just kind of prioritizing where we need to put resources towards upgrading some of that infrastructure. Water towers, every year we try to identify one of our water towers that need to be recoded, structurally looked at. So Green Road and York Center are on the table for 25 and 26. Total of all those projects are about 5.3 million. So any questions on any of the public works projects?
I have Member Desart and there's another one. Member Desart.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just my question is, I'd love to see all these improvements, I do, and especially the energy efficiency ones, but I see all of these, the IEPA loans. And even though we're paying a very low interest rate, when do they come due and how are we paying for those?
I can handle that one. So the IEPA loans, it's what's called the low interest loan program that the IEPA puts on. That's how almost all water and sewer operators pay for their capital projects. Instead of us going out for a bond issue, nobody has that capital. We're very lucky because we had a portion of that money, but it's very common. Usually I think these are 30-year loans, 20, are these 20-year loans? So these are 20-year loans. And the biggest trick is you got to make sure the life of the project is well beyond the 20, and they are. And like I said, when we did our original capital plan, this was incorporated as going out and getting it. We didn't anticipate getting 1.1 and 1.8. We thought it'd be more. So that was baked into all of our rates that are in place. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm doing that with our regular.
Yeah, that's the rates that we generate, it pays that back. I mean, that's how we pay it back. But that's unfortunately, there's nothing. I mean, that's what a sewer and water is. It's capital intensive.
So-
Everything we do is capital intensive.
Right, thanks, Nick.
Yeah, just to add, the low interest rates, they're incorporated into our long range plan and into our rates, what we charge our customers. So that's how we recover. That's why we also build up cash reserves, because we know we're gonna have to start paying these back. Nick mentioned revenue bonds. Our rates would be approximately 20% higher if we had to issue revenue bonds for these projects. So it was very fortunate the timing that the IEPA funding was available for these projects.
Oh, absolutely, and I agree with that. Anybody would love to get a 1.1%
Yeah,
interest rate, but they still have to be paid back.
I will tell you that there is, from the federal level, it's gonna be impacting the availability of these loans into the future. And they may not, they're still gonna be there, but what we're hearing is it's gonna be much, much less and more competitive. So we did our projects at the right time.
Thank you, folks.
To
Lassie.
kind of piggyback on member Desart's question, like what is I know that you would have a plan, but like when is the projection of when these are gonna be paid off?
20 years.
Oh, the full 20?
Yeah,
I see,
the
okay.
20 years, we will do that. And like I said, this committee is mandated every 4 years to do a rate study. And that's coming up in, I think about, next year, we'll probably kick it off is our next one. But even with all this incorporated, our rates are, if not the lowest, one of the lowest in the entire Chicagoland region. And that's because of our size and scope. We're bigger than most, so we're able to defray it. But we've always had an eye toward keeping the rates low.
The timing was good because we actually just paid off a couple bonds. So the timing of these, we paid off the bonds and now we're starting the new EPA loan. So it was good timing.
Any other questions?
So we're gonna have to go through
I
the
got it.
facilities, fly through it.
Okay, so the first one is, 2 slides, please, is our quiet rooms. It's right outside the credit union. Keith has given us this information. I appreciate that from Keith. They use about 5 times a day, tends to be at noon and the end of the day, which kind of makes sense with your lunch hour when your kids are out of school. So it's been well received right now. We think this is a good number, but if we see there's a desire for another one, we'll let you know. Next slide. Stormwater, I want to introduce Jen Boyer. She's been working on this for a long, long time. She joined the department last year to help with grounds, with stormwater and with the ecological work we do on campus. But our campus stormwater plan, we spent a lot of time on this one. We're moving ahead. We've got a good project right now. We're in the process of getting it permitted through stormwater. That will reduce a lot of our flood flows. I'm gonna be working on flood proofing the buildings. I will have another update for this. My goal being about November. Next slide. This is one of 3 projects Jeff's overseeing, Jeff Madsen. He's on vacation right now. First one is the parking decks. This is actually our second phase of the work. This will be wrapped up in end of June. The stormwater work and the parking deck works are kind of ongoing. We have more demand for these that we've talked about in the past. We'll keep going through those. But we do have some funding available to keep those going. Nick has something.
Yeah, I just want to, there was brought up at the last meeting, to bring forward, and we are at finance, are to the funding, if you remember the 2024 surplus funding. This was one of the projects, 1.5 million here. I know that member Zay this morning, when he was in stormwater, mentioned the other, we have 1.5 million that we set aside for the quarry, and then 250,000 for the historic museum. Those are the three funding from the surplus that the committee wanted to set aside. At the next meeting, we will ask that, now that we know where it's at, to move forward on those 3 fundings. And then, so that'll be the discussion next week, but this is one of those. And we are still, how much is
9.
9 million? So after all the funding, we're still 9 million short.
Next slide. Parking lot work, we did about $436,000 worth of work that ended up the end of last year. We don't have anything scheduled for this year, but we'll be doing more, most likely a little bit next year. I'm sorry, 2 years from now. Next slide. Sidewalks. One of the things, when you look at the windows as you're walking across the campus, it's a great viewscape of the courtyard. It's really turned out well. We'll have the middle part of that done by the end of June. This was a $2.7 million budget, and we are under budget there. That area that with the umbrella, that is an employee break area. We have some temporary furniture in there. The new furniture will be delivered in about a month, and it'll be 100% recycled product. Next slide.
Hey, there's your picture.
Look at me, I don't know.
You're our chair. Animal services, this one's been a fun one, a couple challenges, but it's been fun. $13.5 million. Jeff Madsen and Nick Jensen have overseen that. As you know, you have a ribbon cutting in 2 weeks, a week from Saturday. That one's going very, very well. So next slide. Next 2 are the care center that Nick Jensen's overseeing. The first one is the 3 wings. That will be completed in June of 2026. This is, I believe, your largest ARPA contribution you've done. We will come in significantly before the deadline that money is to be sent by the end of next year. It's been a joy to work with Janelle on this one. It's gone very, very well. Next slide is the East Building. You've awarded the architecture for that on August 26th at the county board. We will be requesting the full funding for the construction of that project. That, with the construction being awarded by you, if that's what you choose to do, that would start as the other 3 wings finish up, and that would just seamlessly flow into that. That will be completed in August of 2027. Next couple slides are HVAC. First one is the care center. This was some ARPA money that you awarded directly to facilities. It's about $4.2 million in HVAC work we did at the care center. That is substantially complete. We just have a few minor punch list items that'll be done within 60 days. That's gone very well. The next slide is this building, 421. That is substantially complete. We just have a little bit of the work we got to do in the fall. Couple challenges in the building. I'd like to thank everyone that worked in the middle part of the building. You know who you are. We had some temperature challenges there, but believe it or not, we were too warm. We had a struggle keeping the building cold enough. But that one worked out very, very well. It's the only project I've ever done over the winter with an HVAC replacement that we had to do because of ARPA. It turned out well. Next project is CRC. Mark Thomas is overseeing this, and the next one helping with facilities. That one, as you know, your ribbon cutting is August 13th. We've had a very minor role in that, helping out health department with the ribbons on that. The next slide is the DOT project. We are working with DOT on that one, helping them out where we can and where we need to.
The next step on this is the land use decision. We anticipate that'll be submitted very shortly. As you will recall with the rezoning, you will do 90% of that process itself, meaning the land use department of Paul House will oversee that. It'll go to the development committee. It's then handed off to Wheaton for the final decision. We have not awarded any construction on it yet because the land use needs to be taken care of. Once the land use is done, we will bid out that work. We anticipate that will be coming before you in the fall of this year. That's about an $80 million budget. The next remaining slides are environmental. That is, Joy and Ian oversee. First one is the EV charging. We have one EV charger that's old and tired here at the 421 building. We're pursuing 3, one at the JOF, one at the care center, which would be a level 2 charger, which means it could charge a car and typically get about 20 to 40 minutes. And then we're going to replace the one that's here at 421, that one is about probably 9-ish years old. Next one is solar. We have a small solar array in the 422 building. As you recall, we got the south building done. I got to give Sheila credit on that one again with the grants and Sheila's leadership getting that done. We are opening the bids on this one on June 5th. We're crossing our fingers that work out well. Our goal is to have that done at the end of the calendar year. That is almost exclusively grant funded. Next slide is the Southwest Master Campus planning activity we're doing. With the 140 being vacated, we have some leases, particularly with elections and the sheriff. We're seeing if we can repurpose 140 building and move those functions back. In addition to that, we're kind of doing a storage need assessment for all the elected officials and department heads to make sure all their needs are met. We're pretty aggressive with our shredding program. If you have documents you want to lose, we will help you shred them to make sure we have the capacity going. We'll be presenting that in the fall of this year. And then our last slide is the 2 big projects that we're working on this year. The switchgear, you've already awarded that construction. We anticipate that will be done in the fall of this year. It depends on the lead time that switchgear operates the 3 chillers. And then the other one is a burner replacement. We've been working with NICOR to take care of a natural gas issue that's been resolved. The bids that might be on the street now are very, very shortly. And then that won't be done obviously in the spring of next year after the heating season. So that is it. I went 2 minutes long, but it took 2 minets. So.
$250 million for 6 minutes is.
Yes.
Right.
So if you have any questions, I know I ran a little long, so.
All right.
All right.
Excellent.
Is there any, I'm sorry.
She was first. Lauren.
Thank you. So quick question. Thank you for the presentation. I appreciate it. It's so quick. On page 5, you were talking about the parking garage repairs,
Right.
2024 surplus funding, but also then you said that we're still $9 million short.
Correct.
And I wondered, what's the plan for that?
Sure. Facilities does have some funding. The approach I'm taking with mixed concurrence is the flood control and the parking decks are on equal footing. I'm trying to do the stormwater a little bit faster, but I will have a better flavor for that in about 6 months. We do have some funding to meet some of those pieces. Other than that, it's just kind of when funding becomes available.
We're doing pay as you go as money
Right.
becomes available, and I can tell you, Jeff and finance team and the chair have been very aggressive with trying to get money. But it's one of those that we do get money. We are, if we were in an emergency situation where something was gonna fail, I would be the first one to be here to tell you. But we are staying on top of it. There is a $9 million liability that we must address, and we've been chipping away. That liability used to be at 18 million, and we've chipped it way down to 9. So we're getting there.
I just
can
thought it
say-
was very clever the way you said, $9 million short. I'm like, wait a minute.
I was on a panel last month. UIC has $1 billion in pent-up demand for facilities on their campus. We have nickels compared to that. We have very little pent-up. ARPA and CARES Act, we've resolved the lion's share of it. Trust me, it wasn't 9 million when I started. So we're in a great place. I cannot tell you the magnitude of the work we've done and getting ahead. And ARPA was just fantastic for HVAC because I can tell you, fortunately, when I got it done, there's a lot of these projects, no chance would have got done. The funding wasn't there. So.
Louis Garcia.
Yeah, real quick, because I know everybody has to leave. Thank you so much for this project, update. Wow, what great work you've all done here, and I would love, with the chair's approval, if this could be presented at some point to the county board, you know, to show everything that's been done here, through the staff here and everything like that. So I think that's something, you know, not everybody comes to this meeting, and so I think this is something that everybody should know that the work's being done. So thank you.
Thank you. Member Zane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, Nick said it, $250 million. We do have other needs in the county. I think facilities has been well taken care of over the last 5 years. But as we move forward, when you say you need another 9 million for this, and I mean, we have other needs. And I think we've done a lot to do this, but what you guys do are big ticket items. And as ARPA money is disappearing, we're gonna go back to the old way,
Oh, yeah.
the way we did stuff. Where we're not gonna be getting, hopefully we'll be getting money, but I'm thinking money from the state and money from the federal government is going to be less than what we've gotten in the past. So at some point, we're gonna have to prioritize what needs to be done. Like you said, I'd love to get 9 million more, but it's not failing. So I mean, we have other needs around the county that we need to take care of too.
To that extent, I mean, we are anticipating that our budget cycle is gonna be different from any other budget cycle most of this board has lived through. I mean, we'll see where we're at, but that's a nice thing. What we put in there so far, we can hold off if we have to. It is an absolute mandatory. We'll have to do it at some point, but we can hold off a year or two if we have to, but it is an obligation we have. But yeah, this is gonna be a budget year like we've never seen, and I would not anticipate the type of, surplus that we've had previously.
If I could just follow.
Garcia, then Member Rutland.
All right, can I just follow up on members A? Totally agree with you. There are other needs in the county. But one thing I don't want to do is go back to the way it was done. I want us to be proactive. I want us to be setting some money aside. I want us to be planning for the future. I want us to not say, now we need this done and we have to search for money. We're thankful that we got the ARPA money, for a bad reason, but we got it. So we have to make sure that we're planning ahead so that in 30 years, I'll be long gone. In 30 years, when things need to be, replaced again, we've got the funds set aside. So that's something we need to be.
Without ARPA or CARES Act, we would have had to do a bond issue
Right,
easily approaching $100 million just to maintain what we own.
correct.
And we were able to do it and get some aggressive pricing, and we pretty much caught up, as Tim said. We are different from any other organization out there because of that.
Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not part of the committee, but of course I have to talk about solar, and you talked about a 3% reduction in energy costs.
Our total operating
Just
3%.
curious how the solar panels that we have already installed impacted that.
I mean, the 3%, that was in the public works side. Obviously, the solar, it's helping here, but it is a small portion of our overall usage. Everything makes a difference, obviously. But our usage here on campus with 24/7 operations in a care center and a jail is pretty high.
And are they producing what we expected?
Yeah, I think so. I think that they're on par with.
They're producing more than expected, actually, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Good news.
They generate about $2,000 worth of
And more
electricity.
coming.
a month,
Yeah.
so.
And good work on the grant funding. Oh my God, that's.
And we continue to do it. I mean, it's, the more solar, we have a lot of rooftops. If we can get grants, we can get the money, we're gonna continue to pursue that.
Love that.
Yay.
Good. Thank you, Nick.
Okay.
And Michael, thank you.
Member Zane.
Just one last thing, ComEd, the capacity charge, how is that going to affect us?
So it's interesting you brought that up. So ComEd, we probably track those guys more than anything, because if you remember, originally we had fixed pricing and we are in an open market. It was the right decision by far. I mean, and we track it every day or every week we get reports. We probably saved easily, what do we, 300,000-400,000, probably between the two departments, if not $500,000.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah.
It's over $500,000.
I think it's over $500,000. I mean, and so what the new charges they have, they will have an impact. I don't know if we've looked at it. I don't know if we've analyzed it. Stan?
Yeah, fortunately, for campus and public works combined capacity charge is 5% of the total electric bill. So it's going to double starting June 1st. There's a 100% increase, so it's going to be partial this year, partial 26. It's not as bad as it is for residential.
Any other questions? Old business. Yes.
I do, I'm sorry. I know that everybody's anxious to move on with their day, but I did have a question because the item got past me. Number 6A. There was really nothing in the board packet about this item. And it said the instance, it's for,
I
in
can
the
tell.
instance of a situation that occurs. Is this part of, I don't know. what this
Sheffield
is for.
Safety, Sheffield Safety, we use they do a lot of our consulting and for safety because the 4 departments do construction, public works, stormwater, facilities management, and transportation all get together, and actually general fund pays for a little bit. This helps us for loss prevention, our employees getting injured, they come in, audit our things, they
So
help
they're
us
like an
through.
insurance company?
No,
No.
they're like an independent, like, safety contractor that come in, they do, how are we, our training for chainsaw, our training for confined space entry, things like that. So they come in, they help us put it on in order to help prevent the employee issues. All this is a extension of the contract because we are going on this, we are putting an RFP out for the next round to see, because it's a very good contract. It has saved us a lot and the 4 departments get to talk safety and prevent the employees.
And did I read it correctly? This is only an extension for 26 days?
That's correct, to allow us to get the others quote on the street.
Okay, thank you. My one other question is the Heritage Gallery. An inquiry was sent out to county museums to asking if they'd like to borrow anything from the county's collection. I'm reading this because one of my constituents reached out to me and asked this question. And the inquiry was sent to county museums asking if they'd like to borrow anything from the county's collection. Have we heard back from any of them?
We can give you an update. Jeff is.
I know, the one day I need.
Jeff is not here, but we will give you an update at the next one
Okay.
with what kind of communication we've had.
Okay, thank you. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Any new business? Without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.